What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Brawlic John with a new video centered around the returning Pokemon in the DLC for Scarlet and Violet Teal Mask. Now, I know there's already some tiered videos out there on the internet, but I wanted to make one for my channel and my community as a source of discussion. So I've divided my tier list into 5 different groups, right? We have not sure if legal. These are going to be for things like Okie Dokie. I have trash Pokemon that are just hot dookie, cocky dookie butter. We have kinda trash, but I would make a YouTube video, right? That's the fun list right there. Then we have really good Pokemon, and then at the top, we have my hot take section. Now, these are Pokemon that I think we will see have a good performance at a regional. To me, good performance means top, right? One of these Pokemon is going to top cut a regional. Now, the first Pokemon that we're going to talk about is the Pokemon from my thumbnail. This is, most people agree, this Pokemon will be good. Most people agree. A lot of people are putting it in like their A tiers and things like that. I'm going to take it a step further. I am going to go all the way off the ledge, and I am going to say the best Pokemon in the DLC Teal Mask for VGC, specifically, this is for VGC for all you Smogon players. For VGC, the best Pokemon in the DLC is going to be Galarian Weezing. I am making a hot meta call, and I am putting that thing directly at the top with will see a good performance at a regional. Why? The number one biggest reason is neutralizing gas. Neutralizing gas is a ridiculously strong ability that turns off the abilities of other Pokemon. Now, it doesn't turn off every ability in the game, which is important to note. And I know right now we are dealing with not perfect information. We are not sure if Weezing will turn off the Swords of Ruin, or if Weezing will turn off Photosynthesis. However, even with that incomplete information, I am still more than willing to say that Galarian Weezing will top a regional. Because even if we say the Swords of Ruins is 50-50, if this thing shuts off the Swords of Ruins, it's broken. Like Mega Super Chocolate Fudge broken. Even if it doesn't, this thing turns off Unseen Fist from Urshifu. What does that mean? With the Poison Fairy typing, this thing absolutely walls Dark Urshifu. It walls it beyond belief. And it also does a really good job versus Rapid Strike Urshifu. Not only does this thing sport a ridiculous base 120 defense, but this thing has some pretty good stats, and it also carries Steam, which is a really strong fairy stab attack. Now, the sets you're going to see on Weezing are going to be something like Protect, Strange Steam, Will-O-Wisp, Taunt, things of that nature. There's a lot of different items that you could put on Weezing. In terms of your Terra type, there's a lot of different Terra types that you could go for. Some people are going to go for like water or grass, something like those two, to really help out versus water Shifu. But what also makes this thing really good, it's not just that it turns off abilities for your opponent, it's what it enables for you, right? So I'm going to show you guys something. We have Mr. Toadscruel, right? This is just a random Pokemon. Did you know that Toadscruel has base 100 speed and learns Spore? Now, why don't people use Spore? Well, they don't use Spore because of Mycelium Might, right? And Mycelium Might gets negated by neutralizing gas. So you can lead something like Weezing plus Toadscruel and have a base 100 speed Spore. That's insane. Now, let's say that's a little bit too off meta for you. There are other options. You guys heard of Slacking, right? You guys heard of this bad boy. You guys heard of this, right? I'm pretty sure. Yeah. You guys remember this guy, right? Base 100 speed, base 160 attack, base 100 defense. Yeah, that guy, Slacking. Well, put him next to Weezing and things will happen. Now, there are many other options of Pokemon that you can put next to Weezing that'll make it work. But it's the flexibility of Weezing being able to hinder your opponent, to help you in your team building, and then I've saved the best for last. For those of you who don't know, it got announced today that Grassy Glide will be returning to VGC, which means Rillaboom with Grassy Glide is back. Two things. Weezing walls Rillaboom. What is Rillaboom going to do to a Weezing with that base defense and the poison typing? Not much. On top of Weezing walling Rillaboom, if you lead Weezing into Rillaboom, grassy terrain doesn't even go up. There is no grassy terrain. Therefore, there is no Grassy Glide. Meaning your opponent is going to either A, double focus down your Weezing, which you can easily protect and have your partner go crazy, or they're going to switch out their Rillaboom into something else which gives you a free turn. This is my hot take. I think Weezing is going to be an absolute terror, and I'm so excited to use it. I feel pretty strongly about the standard Cantonian Weezing as well. I think Cantonian Weezing is also really good and has a really good chance at topping a regional as well. I just think that extra fairy typing is really what separates Galarian Weezing, and I think it is the best mon in the entire DLC for VGC. You heard it here from your boy Brawlic. Now, let's go through the rest of the Pokemon. Over here, we have Mr. Electric Golem, aka Trash. Not even going to talk about it. We have the Sinistee mons. I'm going to be honest, kind of looking at the Sinistee mons, I'm not overly impressed with them. I know there's some different forms. They have some really interesting abilities. The typing, Grass, Ghost. I'm going to be honest with you, this thing is kind of trash. But I'm gonna make a YouTube video for it, so we're gonna put it right in the middle where it belongs. Next up, we have Dripplin. Not gonna lie to you guys, kinda trash, but I'm gonna make a YouTube video for it. So Dripplin's ability basically on switching is going to increase the accuracy. It does some evasion check type of shenanigans, you could say. So having something like Chlorophyll Sleep Powder with this is really, really strong. Think when Venusaur comes back, think something like if Victory Bell has like a move that's not so accurate, you put it in Sun, you make it really fast, and then you switch in this thing. Even just like guaranteed hitting your Heat Waves has value. Not missing your Rock Slides has value. Will-O-Wisp, if you really, really need a Wisp to go off, that has value. So I think this Pokemon will come up for certain meme teams, and that's exactly why I have it in the YouTube category. Next up, we have our new legendary Pokemon from the DLC. We know their typings, we know most of what they're going to bring to the table. However, we don't know if these things will be legal or not, right? So for now, we're just going to put it in not sure if legal. Now, we haven't gotten official word on our little Ursaluna friend here, but I would think at worst, at absolute worst, given the base stat total that this thing has to have, it's going to be a really good Pokemon, right? This is at worst, even with minimal knowledge. Right now, I think people are saying that this is a Steel Ground type, which is going to have some really interesting offensive coverage, some really cool meta applications. We don't know if this thing is going to be fast or if it's going to be slow. We're absolutely not sure. But just given the raw BST that this thing has to have and the potential typing, it's going to be a really good Pokemon. Next up, we have Alolan Sandslash. This thing has, so yes, this is the Alolan version. So this thing has the ability that doubles your speed in snow. We all know that snow got buffed because now it also raises your defense. I think this thing is kind of trash, but I would make a YouTube video for it. Next up, we have the second Pokemon that is going to be gracing our top tier. Will see a good performance at a regional. Alolan Ninetales. I think this is the second best Pokemon in the DLC. This thing is busted, right? It's got Aurora Veil. It sets Snow, which buffs its own defense. So now this thing has good special defense, 1.5 times defense, which means you can give some bulk to this thing, and it's going to live a surprising amount of stuff. Blizzard that skips an accuracy check. Moonblast. So many good moves, and the fact that it enables Snow versus other weathers, and the fact that you can just put this on almost any balance team and you can get real value out of fast Aurora Veil is actually just insane. I think this is a great Pokemon. Next up, we have the channel mascot, the best boy, my favorite Pokemon of all time, Snorlax. Now, Snorlax is an interesting one. Snorlax borders between all three of these categories. It's a really good Pokemon. I don't know if it's going to see a good performance at a regional. I want to say it will. My heart wants to say it will. In fact, I will be bringing Snorlax to the Toronto regionals this year because I promised my Twitch community over on twitch.tv/BrawlingJohn, I promised them that if Snorlax got released in the DLC that I would bring it to Toronto. So I'm going to be a little bit more objective. I'm going to put it in really good Pokemon. The problem with Snorlax is it does get outclassed by Ursaluna, the standard version. However, Snorlax still has some really cool things going on for it. Snorlax has thick fat, so imagine you go Terra Grass with thick fat, you avoid Spore, and you're actually really bulky, and you have very few ways to get hit super effectively. On top of that, Snorlax has the ability to run Curse and also Terra Ghost, right? So I can run a Terra Ghost Snorlax with a Curse set, and I can do a lot of cool things with this Pokemon. I believe Snorlax is a really good Pokemon. Next up, we have Ferret trash. We got Noctowl trash. Ariados trash. Politoed. Politoed will see a good performance at a regional. Politoed will be top cutting regionals 100%. This thing is a weather setter, which automatically makes it broken. It sets rain. It is extremely bulky, much more bulky than your standard Pelipper's. It has access to Helping Hand. It has access to strong stab moves in rain. It has access to Perish Song. It has access to a lot of good support moves. I think this thing even gets Encore, which is like insane, right? Really good Pokemon, really good move pool. It gets random coverage moves like Earth Power, I believe it gets. Really solid Pokemon. I think this is going to have a great performance at a regional. Alright, next up, Quagsire is already in the game. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw it in trash, just because it's already in the game, so I don't think it's fair to include it. Empoleon, I think, is gonna be kind of trash, but I'm gonna make a YouTube video. The problem with Empoleon is even though it does offer Steel Water typing, which is a really good typing, unfortunately it suffers from not having enough bulk to even check Flutter Mane. Because as a steel type with really good special defense, you want to be able to wall Flutter Manes, but truthfully, this thing is probably going to get two-shot by Choice Specs Flutter Mane, so it doesn't really function as a wall because it's not faster, and it can't one-shot Flutter Mane in return either. So I actually think this thing is just kind of trash, but I would make a YouTube video because it is a really cool, solid Pokemon. Next up, we have Torterra, which is just straight up trash. It's 4 times weak to ice. It's slow. It doesn't do anything. I'm sorry, guys. I got nothing else for you. Infernape is a really good Pokemon. Now, a lot of people might not think that it is, but Infernape gets access to really fast Fake Out. Close combat with stab damage is crazy. In the past, Infernapes have run Overheat, which is really cool. I think this thing might even get like Encore or some funny support moves that you wouldn't expect. So it can fill this niche role of fast Fake Out, quick offense, or random support. I think it's a really good Pokemon. Firefighting is relatively unique in the meta right now. We don't have many options that offer us that combination of stats. And being able to offer a very strong physical move and a very strong special move in the same set is really cool for this Pokemon. Would be a good Covert Cloak user as well. Would be good with a Sash. Just a really cool Pokemon. Ligar is just straight trash in my opinion. It's just Landorus without the juice. I really don't like it. I'm willing to put it at the top of trash because I know singles players, well, they love it. But I don't know, whatever. Macargo, really cool stuff. Unfortunately, it is hot trash. We already have his Sway and Arcanine. Arbok, kinda trash, but I'll make a YouTube video. I'll make a YouTube video about Arbok. First of all, Arbok has no legs. Alright? Now, for those who know me, you guys know how I feel about Pokemon with no legs. Alright? It's very special. It has access to Intimidate. I believe this thing also has access to Glare, which is 100% accurate paralysis, which has a lot of value. But really, just being an Intimidate Pokemon with Poison typing, you'd be surprised. Sometimes that's good enough to just help you win a game. You just switch in on a fighting move, you switch it on a fairy move, you hit Intimidate. Why not? It's Arbok. Who cares? Mighty Anna, kind of the same thing here. It's kind of trash, but I would make a YouTube video. It's got Intimidate, dude. Intimidate, Stab, Sucker Punch. I mean, that's enough. You'd be surprised. This thing gets access to some funny support moves, Howl, things of that nature. You'd be surprised. Mighty Anna could put in some work. Next up, we have Ludicolo. I personally think that Ludicolo is going to be a really good Pokemon. I think Ludicolo having access to Fake Out, Swift Swim next to Politoed is going to make it a premium Pokemon for sure. But Fake Out, this thing gets Encore, I believe, which is insane on a Swift Swim mon. Grass Water coverage is awesome. It's pretty bulky. You can slap an Assault Vest on this thing and go crazy. I just think it's a really good Pokemon, and it gets Ice Beam. It should still get Ice Beam, which gives it really, really good ice coverage. I mean, this thing is going to be surprisingly strong, and it's going to catch people off guard. I'm willing to put it at the bottom of really good Pokemon, but I think Ludicolo is legit. Don't be surprised to see it. Next up, we have Shiftry. I think Shiftry is trash, but I would make a YouTube video. This thing has access to Chlorophyll, which also means it's a really fast Fake Out in Sun. Dark Stab is really good. Sucker Punch is good. It's got some other really nice moves. You could give it a Life Orb with the Chlorophyll. It's probably a really good check to something like Rillaboom. It can do a lot of damage, and it can eat some Grassy Glides. I think this Pokemon is okay. It's not a world beater, but it's fun. Next up, we have Sandslash. Sandslash, kind of trash, but I would make a YouTube video. For the same reason as a Lowland Sandslash, this thing gets Sand Rush. So, I mean, you can put it on a Sand team. You could double its speed. Actually, you know what? I've changed my mind. It's just trash. It's probably, like, towards the high end of trash, though. So, like, yeah, like, around there. Volbeat and Illumise. I am going to actually put these guys at the top of kinda trash, but I would make a YouTube video, and I'll tell you guys why. So these are prankster Pokemon with very, very unique support movesets. They get access to things like T-Wave, Encore, they get screen access, at least one of them does. They're just really interesting Pokemon with a really interesting bug typing, and depending on your team, it might just be that supporter that you're looking for. Not all teams are built the same. Some teams need very, very specific combination of support, and Illumise and Volbeat can very easily be that for a very fun ladder YouTube team. Next up, we have Crawdaunt. Crawdaunt's pretty cool here. Moving stuff around. We're going to put Crawdaunt in kind of trash, but I would make a YouTube video. The reason for this is Crawdaunt with adaptability in Trick Room just hits like a truck. It needs a lot of setup. It's nothing new. Like, nothing about Gen 9 makes Crawdaunt any better. Maybe you can argue Terra Water, adaptability, Aqua Jet, I guess, which is stuff that Basculegion does better. But it is really slow, so in Trick Room, I could probably see this making a YouTube video. Next up, we have Clefairy. I think Clefairy is going to have a good performance at a regional. This thing is busted. Friend Guard, Follow Me, really, really interesting set of support moves. Simple Friend Guard plus Follow Me is really, really good. It's got Fairy typing, which is very, very good for it. We put the Eviolite. This thing gets super bulky. There's going to be some person at a regional with a Clefairy, and they're going to do great, and it is what it is. Next up, we have Milotic. So here's the problem with Milotic. I want to put it in really good Pokemon. I really, really do. The problem is Grassy Glide just got announced. So Grassy Glide makes this kind of tough, right? Man, I guess I'm gonna put this in kinda trash, but I would make a YouTube video. The thing is, Milotic has incredible bulk and really good sustainability, and being able to use Milotic to stall out a 1v1 is really, really cool. But unfortunately, there's going to be so many strong grass types in this meta, and with Grassy Glide coming back, Milotic being a Terra Hog is not exactly what you want to see. I think Milotic will see less play than the Pokemon above it. However, I do think it's very borderline, but I think this is where it should be. It's a really cool Pokemon. It's probably going to be on some fun teams, but that's about it. Dusclops with Eviolite, one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. This thing is going to see a good performance at a regional because it is an amazing Trick Room setter. It has access to Eviolite. It can't be faked out thanks to its ghost typing. Nightshade is really good consistent damage for a Pokemon like this. Pain Split is really good recovery. You can run Will-O-Wisp on these things. You can run Taunt. The really cool thing about Dusclops is after it sets Trick Room, it's actually stupid slow. So your Dusclops can underspeed an Amoonguss, and you can taunt Amoonguss in Trick Room. That's what's so awesome about it, right? Cresselia might be a slightly better Trick Room setter on average, but for real, true Trick Room teams, don't be surprised if you see Dusclops running around the meta. Chimeco, trash. I'm sorry, my friend. Ninetales. This is a really good Pokemon. Where'd I put Ninetales? Where'd it go? Oh. Ninetales is a really good Pokemon. I don't think that Ninetales... I want to put it at the very tip top, but I think it's just a shade under. It's a really fast weather setter. It sets up the sun. The only thing is I'm not 100% convinced that this thing is better than Torkoal. I think it can be better than Torkoal. I think it has a lot of applications that could be really strong. It's got good special attack, it's got good speed, it's got a decent move pool, but nothing to write home about. So I think it's a really good Pokemon, but I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't really do that great at regionals. Ambipom, it's a cool Pokemon. I would make a YouTube video for this thing. I keep like switching the Pokemon around by mistake. Sorry guys, hold on. Let me fix this. I keep messing up. Alright, so, yeah, we put you here. So, Ambipom's a really fast fake-out user, which is really cool. Stab fake-out with Technician is cool. It's just a really fun Pokemon. Unfortunately, it gets outclassed by a lot of other things, but I would make a YouTube video for it. Next up, we have Yanmega. Yanmega's going to be in the same boat as Ambipom over here. Tinted Lens is a really broken ability, and Bug's special attackers are kind of hard to come by. Ditto for flying special attackers. So I think there is a world in which Yanmega does really good. However, it's not as fast as you think it would be, and it's probably going to require some Tailwind support to really apply a lot of pressure. So this is a niche Pokemon, kind of trash, but I would make a YouTube video. Next up, we have Glyzor. He's unfortunately going in trash. I know people are going to be really mad at this. All my singles players are fuming right now, but it just doesn't do anything. It's just not Landorus. Sorry, guys. Mamoswine. It's a really good Pokemon. This thing has great, and I mean great, offensive coverage, and has access to Thick Fat as well. It has access to Oblivious, which means it can't be taunted or intimidated. With Terastallization, Mamoswine with an Assault Vest might go crazy. Honestly, don't be surprised if you see something like Mamoswine, Alolan Ninetales. Alolan Ninetales, now Snow will give a defense buff to Mamoswine. You can give Mamoswine Assault Vest. Now he's 1.5 defense, 1.5 special defense. He can't be taunted, and we set up an Aurora Veil. That is scary. I think Mamoswine's actually going to be like pretty good. I guess right here is where I want it. But I do not be surprised if you see Mamoswine go crazy. Probopass, kind of trash, but I would make a YouTube video, I guess. No, I'm capping. This thing's just garbage. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry for capping. Dusknoir, this thing is trash. I don't want it. Doesn't do anything. Conkeldurr, pretty damn cool. He's gonna go at the top of kind of trash, but I would make a YouTube video. A lot of people are gonna be upset at this because Conkeldurr does get access to Guts with Flame Orb, and people love that combination. They're like, oh, he has Guts. I get it. Relax. Guts, Flame Orb, Mach Punch, pretty bulky. It's just unfortunately in this format, I think he gets outclassed by Ursaluna and Trick Room. Its typing is not really that great defensively right now. The issue is Flutter Mane exists. What do we do in the Flutter Butter? It's really tough. It's really, really tough right now. But I'll make a YouTube video about it for sure. We got Leaveny, aka Trashity. We got Swanna, aka I don't even know what it does. Chandelure, I think is, I think it's kind of trash, but I would make a YouTube video. Chandelure gets access to Flash Fire, which means it could be a really fun answer for something like Chi-Yu. In some cases, it could be a good switch into Chi-Yu. It could be really good versus Heatran, depending on like the Terra type. It does have access to set its own Trick Room, which is interesting, because Chandelure is a weird speed tier where it's like, you might want Trick Room, you might not. So I do think it has some interesting options, but I don't think it's a really good Pokemon. And that's why it's kind of trash, but I would make a YouTube video. Poliwrath? Yeah. It's kind of trash, but I would make a YouTube video. This thing has access to Swift Swim. It has the same offensive typing as Urshifu, which we know for a fact is good. Urshifu Rapid Strike will always be better than Poliwrath. However, Poliwrath does outspeed Urshifu in range, so there is that. It does have an interesting move pool. You can set up Belly Drum on Poliwrath, so you could go for something like Clefairy plus Poliwrath. You go Follow Me plus Belly Drum, and then the next turn you just swap in the Politoed so that you can kind of set up Rain, which would be really, really good, right? So something like that. Sorry guys, I'm getting a call from work. So yeah, I think that would be really, really strong. So that's definitely a good option that you can have there. Alright, we are almost done. I'm going to rush through these. We have Mienshao. I think Mienshao is... It's between really good... I'm going to give it really good Pokemon, but at the very bottom. I just think Fast Fake Out is just so powerful. Close Combat with this speed tier is so powerful with Stab. It's very, very similar to Infernape. And I like Infernape maybe a little bit better, but they're both pretty solid, to be honest. This thing gets Wide Guard, which means it's going to be really, really good versus like Regidrago style teams and things of that nature. So I think it's actually a really good Pokemon. Mandibuzz, I think it's kind of trash, but I would make a YouTube video for it. Really, really bulky. It kind of gets outclassed by some other bulky Pokemon in the format. It has access to Overcoat, which is cool. So you can use it to beat down a Mungus. It can switch into Spore, and it could go for Taunt, which is really nice. You could go for Roost. You could go for Stab, Foul Play, which is cool. I think it's a cool Pokemon. You can also even Tailwind. You can Snarl. It's one of those Pokemon where if you have a fun meme team, this is the type of Pokemon that you want on that team. Alright, next up we have Trevenant. Unfortunately, Trevenant is just trash. It does have access to Trick Room, but there's no reason you would ever run this over this, right? Just no reason at all. Next up we have Victory Bell. We're going to put Victory Bell over here with the Weather Abusers, in the sense that it's kind of trash, but I would use it for a YouTube team. It gets access to Chlorophyll. It's a mixed attacker, and it does have Stab Poison. So if you put this thing in Sun, it might be able to outspeed non-booster Flutter, and it might threaten Flutter Mane with a knockout from like a physical poison move, like a Gunk Shot kind of thing, which is really cool. But it's pretty niche. It's just going to be a Chlorophyll abuser, but on the right team, if you need an answer to Flutter, Victory Bell could be your answer. Victory Bell is also really good into Rillaboom, right? It can switch in on Grassy Glide 4 times resist, and then it can answer back with a really strong Stab Poison attack. So if you have a Sun team and you're worried about Rillaboom, maybe Victory Bell is something you actually want to consider for your Sun team. Alright, we're almost done here. We have, I don't even know why this is separated, but whatever. We have Vikavolt. I think Vikavolt, I want to put it in really good Pokemon. Alright, I'm making a call here. I think Vikavolt is going to be a really good Pokemon in Trick Room. We don't have a lot of really strong Trick Room special attack sweepers. I know we have Torkoal, and everybody thinks about that, and we also have the Psy-Spam duo, but Vikavolt offers something really unique with Levitate, Discharge, and the ability to go Terra Electric and have no weaknesses. this thing is going to be Monka in Trick Room teams. Like, really, 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 really strong. If your opponent is threatening with Earthquake and you don't want to bring your Torkoal, you can set up Trick Room right next to a Vikavolt and you can kind of go crazy. And special bug coverage, like I mentioned earlier, is not something that's readily accessible in the meta right now. So I actually think Vikavolt, don't be surprised if you see this on a lot of Trick Room teams. Terra Electric, Discharge, in Trick Room, with like choice specs, it's gonna go crazy. Rabombe is kind of trash, but I would make a YouTube video. It's got some interesting stats. It's got some interesting move pool, like Pollen Puff with high speed is always interesting, you know? Could be like a hybrid support attacker. You give it a sash, it might stick around for a little bit. It's got an interesting typing as well. It's not a great Pokemon, but it's definitely something that I would explore on a fun team. Golem, 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 Golem. Komomo. I think Komomo is... Gosh, I think he's a really good Pokemon. Does he see a good performance at a regional? Oof. This is tough to call. Oh, man. I think he's just a really good Pokemon. I'm willing to put him at the top. So he has just such unique typing. He has Overcoat as well, which means he can't be Spored. He can set up Body Press, Iron Defense, which is really, really good. Clangorous Souls is like a busted move. It's really strong. I think this Pokemon is really good, and I think it's borderline to be at the top. The problem is this thing gets taunted by like Tornadus, and it gets wore down a little bit by really, really fast offensive Pokemon. So that's the scariest part about it, but it's a really good mon, and I would not be surprised to see it get a lot of play here. Last up, we have Cram and Morpeko. These Pokemon are just trash. So there it is, guys. This is my tier list. We'll see a good performance at a regional. Really good Pokemon. Kind of trash, but I would make a YouTube video. Trash and not sure if legal. Thank you guys for watching. I need you guys to do me a huge favor. Let me know what Pokemon from the kinda trash, but I would make a YouTube video. What Pokemon from that tier do you want to see me feature first on my YouTube channel? Thank you guys for watching. I have been Brawlic John. You can follow me over on twitch.tv/BrawlicJohn. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy the video. Drop a like. Drop a comment. Yeah.